kind of have that invincible mindset. I remember getting blown up by my first idea ever, thinking like, that's all these motherfuckers have. There is no choice. There is no other outcome. This is what must happen. Because as a man, you have duty. We live in the real world where everything is a competition. And if you understand that, you can get ahead.
They stay committed to things, they're disciplined, and they will achieve those things that they say that they want to achieve. James Martinez, you are an Army combat medic veteran. You spent 9 years in the Army. You got out. You had a really crazy struggle. You turned everything around. You're now a successful entrepreneur. You run a dog training company. You have a charity arm of that where you're actually donating trained service dogs to veterans called the Phoenix Legacy Foundation.
Yep.
Real quick, I want to kind of touch on what your career was like when you were in the Army.
So you always want to think that you're doing cool stuff while you're in the military, right? So growing up in the military, I was 18, 19 years old when I went in, right? So you kind of have that invincible mindset. I remember getting blown up by my first idea ever, thinking like, that's all these motherfuckers have.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you kind of grow up in that mindset. And then the more you experience, in the military and then out of the military, you quickly realize that, that mindset really isn't going to get you anywhere. So kind of outgrowing that as I was going through the military, really helped me out. It helped me grow up as a man. But unfortunately, when you get out, right, that kind of all goes away because what becomes front and center is the mindset that you're struggling with. So to kind of bring it all together, I was, after I got in the military, struggled drug and alcohol abuse. And in the last segment, I told you about the sergeant major that came up to me while he was doing business development. So long story short, I ended up getting a job doing business development, doing the same thing. Right.
Okay.
So I was clean. I got a job, worked my way up to, state director where I was making big six figures. You know what I mean? So I went from being homeless on the streets to within 2 years, making $120,000 a year. Right. Huge change.
Right.
So within that, right, you're kind of working, as you all know, you're working the job. Right. And it just kind of becomes what I call the golden handcuffs, right? So you're wearing the golden handcuffs and you're spinning your wheels and you're doing the same thing over and over. So yes, there was a lot of pros in helping other veterans get into drug and alcohol abuse and doing all that. But the dirty little secret about the treatment industry is that it's not made to actually treat you, right? It's made to make money, just like everything else.
Right.
So, in the course of doing that job, I kind of started to understand those things, right, as I'm kind of growing up in the field. So I ended up doing things that I felt were moral, but the company felt were immoral because they took away from the bottom line, right? So working this awesome job, doing these awesome things, and then one day I make a decision and I get pulled into an office and congratulations, you're fired, right? Mm-hmm. So what do I do, right? And it goes back to what we were saying. We've had this dog training business as a side gig. It was something where it was really my wife's dream. She grew up walking dogs, and I always asked her, like, hey, when we have it together, what do you want to do with your life? Because I want to start a business for you, right? I don't want you to work for anyone else. I want to work with dogs. So we kind of started that. And getting fired, I could have either been like, my life's over, or I could look at it as a blessing and say, hey, this is an opportunity that God has given me to be like, hey, stop focusing on stuff that you clearly don't want to do anymore and start focusing on the stuff that you do want to do, right? Because at that point, I had already helped many veterans get a service dog, right? I trained up in my free time, helped veterans train up their own service dogs, and that was actually, believe it or not, way more rewarding than putting people in the recovery grind system where they're really not being helped, right? So I had that void to fill, and I could feel it with the business, right? What I didn't do, though, was say, oh my God, I just got fired from this high-paying job. My life's over. I can no longer make ends meet. I feel sorry for myself. This sucks. I don't deserve this. I deserve better. I didn't say any of those things. I sat down across from my wife and I said, you know what? This is the best thing that could have happened to us. You know, all that money we have in savings because of that cool job, I'm going to spend all of it, every single dollar and dime, you know, and I'm going to give back the cars. I'm going to give back the toys. I'm going to give it all back. I do not give a fuck. We're going to do this and we're going to be successful doing it, period. End of story. There is no choice. There is no other outcome. This is what must happen. Because as a man, you have duty. And within that duty comes responsibility, protect, provide, and lead. I have no choice in that matter, or I'm a shit human being. Not a shit human being, but a shit man, right?
Right.
And that's the way that I look at things. That is how my reality is constructed by myself. So instead of feeling sorry for myself, I said, this is a new beginning, and I'm going to make this work because there is no other choice, period, end of story. I'm not losing my wife because if you become a deadbeat, I'm scared of life and do all that. Well, guess what? Your partner probably not going to respect you very much, right? I'm not going to stop being a father, right? I'm still going to do those things, show my son that he can be successful and that it doesn't matter, that if he takes the right mindset, he can make anything work. He's starting his own business as well. So I wanted to make sure that I gave him that leadership also. So if you put yourself in a position where in your mind you know you're going to succeed, you will succeed. So you always, in my opinion, have to start your journey backwards, right? I couldn't look at, I got fired, what am I going to do? What I needed to look at is, this is my goal. I want to build a premium service where I can help veterans, first responders, and the general public attain service dogs. That's what I want to do. How do I make that happen? And then you start working backwards, right? People get that the other way all the time, right? It should be visualize your dream in your mind and then go get it, right? Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't say, the world owes me something. None of those things, man. It's up to me, you know?
Well, and people talk about living within your purpose, living by design, right? So being that you're a veteran, you've lived with a mission. For 9 years when you served, you had a mission. And so then you get out and your mission became self-destruction.
It did.
Then your mission became, okay, build and earn this $120,000 a year. And then God, universe, source, whatever you want to call it, intervenes and says, hey, you remember that easy little path? That's
said,
not
nope.
where it is.
Yep.
And so you still have a purpose, right? You still saw that there was a purpose for your existence. And so then you said, okay, well, now I have to fulfill my purpose. And I'm just going to do all the things on that journey to fulfilling that purpose.
100%. Yeah. And don't give yourself a way out. Don't say, hey, if I can't secure this loan or this thing or that thing, I'm not going to be successful. I'm sure it's the case for you and your business and the case for you and your business, certainly the case for me and my business. We were just talking about it, as a matter of fact, with your gear and stuff, right? You always have to pivot, man. Yeah. There's always going to come a point in time where the computer isn't good enough, where the microphone needs upgrading, where, in my case, my entire freaking garage has to be turned into a kennel. You know what I mean? So there's always going to be a problem to solve in front of you. It doesn't go away, guys, ever. Right. As a matter of fact, the more successful you get, the more fucking problems you have to solve. It's just, you have to get in that mindset, right? There is no finish line. This is a grind until you stop waking up. And it's just that way. And I like to live in what is as opposed to what should be. Yeah, what should be is that everyone has a nice, easy, equal life. Everybody gets the same treatment, so on and so forth. I'm sorry, gentlemen and ladies watching. That shit doesn't exist, right? We live in the real world where everything is a competition. And if you understand that, you can get ahead.
I agree. And I had a conversation with a friend one time when I first got out, and he was kind of discussing the success of one of our mutual friends. And he goes, well, yeah, of course he got that. He's really good looking. And I was like, it's a construction job, dude. What are you talking about? And he goes, right. However, he's good looking. He's given more opportunities. And At first I was like, shut up, dude. You're just excusing away your lack of accomplishment. But then I
There's
started to think about it.
to that, man.
Right.
There is truth to that. You think I fucking enjoy getting punched in the face every day? You think I
He's
enjoy?
a boxer, by the way, just so people understand.
You think I enjoy going to the gym every day? You think I enjoy waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and going to the gym and getting that grind? No,
Yeah, not every day. I don't enjoy it every day.
Some days maybe, but to say, hey, I'm motivated and that's why I'm gonna go, it's bullshit. No, you're gonna go because you made a decision that you're gonna go, and whether it sucks or not doesn't matter.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So yeah, being good looking might have helped him get that job, but what comes with that, right? What came with that? What came with the work that he had to put in to get to where he's at? In his physical, looks or stature, whatever you want to call it, right? People don't see that.
Right.
They don't see the grind that people like us put in every single day, 6-7 days a week, out there suffering and beating the shit out of each other and beating the shit out of ourselves in the gym and doing all those things. Like, people think it's just like, oh, just something that you do. No, guys, it sucks.
Right.
It sucks.
They don't see the other things.
Yeah.
They only see what is in front of them, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that are made up in that space. Like, oh, must be nice to have all of those things just work out for you. It's like, well, actually, this is a 18-hour a day job to do all of these things so that I present this way. It's not a pretend thing. This is how I live from the minute that I wake up to the minute that I go to sleep. And it is an effort every single day to do that. People just don't think about it.
Let me ask you a question, right? You're working 16, 18 hours in your traveling job. You're traveling all over the United States, all over the world, right? Was there ever a time and place where you said, you know what? I'm going to use that as an excuse to not go to the gym today?
No, not once. If there wasn't a gym, I had a jump rope and I was in my hotel room jumping rope. Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no excuse,
Yeah.
guys. There's
You
just
just
no
do it.
excuse.
You choose to do
You
it.
just have to choose to do it every day, whether you're motivated or not. Like, it's something that you have to do, right? Again, as I said in the last segment, right? Like, you have 3 things that you must do as a man. That's it. 3 things: protect, provide, and lead. Who the fuck are you going to protect if you're out of shape and 500 pounds and can barely breathe? You know what I mean? You can't physically carry out your responsibilities as a man, and that's why it's important to be physically fit. But getting back to your point, right? Yeah, it might have helped him that he was good looking, but that motherfucker probably put in a little bit of work to be that good looking, you
Right.
know?
And living by purpose. Again, you're talking about going to the gym. Why do you go to the gym? So that you can be in shape. Why do you want to be in shape? So that you can protect and you can provide. And there's even a large proponent of leadership that comes along. If I'm 375 pounds, just fat body, and I go, hey, let me give you some life advice. Come on. You're not going to follow me.
No.
You're not going to, and if you do follow me, it's maybe 50 yards up the road and I'm winded, right? So there is something to that people, when they see someone who's in a solid physical condition, people are going to look at someone that has a good body and they're going to say, oh, that person's disciplined. That
Instinctually,
person
yes.
follows
They
up
know
with
that person is disciplined. You have to be.
Have to be. Yep.
And so if someone looks at somebody who's in physical shape and they immediately make a judgment assessment on them, which is they stay committed to things, they're disciplined, and they will achieve those things that they say that they want to achieve.
I agree. Yeah.
So yeah, it plays a role.
It plays a huge role, and like I said, I feel like as a man, it's your duty and your responsibility to, be the best physical version of yourself. Yes, there are many pros to also being mentally, the best version of yourself. But I would almost, say that the physical aspect of things, specifically from a male standpoint, is more important, because again, I'm 40 years old. My wife is 6 months pregnant. I need to be 55 years old and, still chase around this 15-year-old kid. You know what I mean? Like, the only way that I can do that is by putting in the time, work, and effort now.
Right.
Not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now. It's too late then. You have to start now. And getting in front of people and being physically fit, like you said, it lets other people know that you're confident. But more than that, again, living in the world that is, not in the world that should be. The reason why I'm able to sell $6,000 packages for training dogs, which, is a substantial amount, is because I come in dressed nicely with nice shoes. I come in, well spoken. I come in physically fit, right? Those are all things that other dog trainers aren't doing. That gives me an edge on them, right? So those little things matter. And anybody that tells you how you look doesn't matter or how fit you are doesn't matter is full of shit.
I'm sure you've probably heard people talking about peptides. It piqued your interest, you looked into it, but you don't know what source to trust. A lot of this stuff is coming out of China. If you're looking for a good quality peptide that's made in the United States, go to helixpure.com.